No more elections. Oh, that's good. I wonder what the fake.
You like this idea?
Yeah, no, this is
No.
A storm on Capitol Hill. Tennessee Republican Andy Ogles sparks outrage, calling for Donald Trump to serve a third term and stay in power as long as he wants. But the Constitution says otherwise. Critics call it unconstitutional, even authoritarian, while Trump gets a laugh from Zelensky after joking that if we happen to be in a war in 2028, no more elections. From congressional proposals to speculation on succession tricks, is America's presidential limit being tested? The battle over the third term question is no longer hypothetical. Tennessee Republican Representative Andy Ogles has provoked an outcry by arguing that Donald Trump deserves a third term as President of the United States. Ogles wrote on X on August 17th, prematurely hailing Trump before the US President met with European leaders on August 18th, as he attempted to bring an end to the war in Ukraine after an unsuccessful summit with Vladimir Putin in Alaska last week.
Give Trump a third term, give him a peace prize, and let him run D.C. as long as he wants.
The congressman's post was quickly annotated with a community note that pointed out that the 22nd Amendment to the U.S. Constitution states,
The 22nd Amendment of the Constitution says no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice, and no person who has held the office of president or acted as president shall be elected to the office of the president more than once.
The same founding document declares elsewhere, incidentally, that representatives and senators shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution, a condition of which Ogles may be in violation. Ogles, in a separate post on X, also added that Trump's efforts are for saving the country and he requires more time.
It's not irony. President Trump is doing what others wouldn't. He's saving our country, and he requires all the time he needs to finish the job. I introduced a resolution to amend the Constitution and make him eligible to run again so the American people would have the choice to maintain prosperity for one more term.
The representative proposed his amendment to the Constitution earlier this year that would have enabled Trump to serve a third term. However, its chance of adoption was always minimal, given that it would have required the approval of 2/3 of the House and Senate and ratification by the legislatures of at least 38 of the 50 states. Among those taking exception to Ogles' post was Nina Turner, former presidential campaign manager to Vermont Democratic Senator Bernie Sanders, who wrote,
"This should be grounds for removal. This is not acceptable for a representative. It's blatantly unconstitutional."
Mehdi Hasan, a British-American broadcaster, said,
If you're under any illusions about what an authoritarian personality cult the GOP has become, they're not hiding it.
Perhaps most brutally of all, Justin Jones, a state representative from Ogles' native Tennessee, commented,
If Pick Me Energy were a person, so embarrassing.
Ogles is no stranger to scandal, having previously come under fire for falsely claiming he was a trained economist, despite picking up a C grade in the one class he ever attended. The representative has also faced questions over missing funds from a children's memorial garden and endured a storm of criticism over a family Christmas card, which portrayed the Ogles clan bearing festive assault rifles. More recently, Ogles provoked a storm by calling for New York mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani to be deported in a tweet that referred to him as Little Muhammad and as an anti-Semitic socialist communist who would destroy the Big Apple if he were elected. President Trump sat down with Ukrainian President Zelensky and a cadre of European leaders on August 18th to discuss Ukraine's security and work toward a possible peace agreement with Russia. While the mood between the world leaders was lighter this time around, certain statements from Trump raised eyebrows among critics. During one part of their press conference, the US president latched onto a statement by Zelensky about pausing elections during wartime and spun it to hint at the possibility of him outlasting his two-term limit in 2028.
Legal elections.
So you say
we're ready.
during the war you can't have elections? So let me just say, 3.5 years from now. So you mean if we happen to be in a war with somebody, no more elections? Oh, that's good. I wonder what the fake.
You like
news
this
is.
idea?
No, this is
No.
Speaking of news, I got a question for you. This sounds insane.
The summit marked Zelensky's first time back at the White House since his explosive Oval Office meeting in February, when he was berated by Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance and accused of being ungrateful toward the US. August 18th was far from the first time that Trump had hinted at plans to stay in the White House beyond his constitutionally allowed time frame. From selling Trump 2,028 inches hats on his official website to telling Time magazine that there are some loopholes that have been discussed in regard to a third term, the president has previously insisted he's not joking about the prospect of remaining president. In a March 30th interview with NBC News, Trump didn't expand on the methods by which he could serve a third term, but his supporters have proposed a few different possibilities. The Trump Organization is now selling red caps embroidered with Trump 2028, fueling speculation that the president may be eyeing a third term in the White House. That, however, runs into the hard limit set by the US Constitution. No one can be elected president more than twice. Still, Trump himself has mused about the idea, telling Time magazine he was not joking about wanting another term, and his supporters have floated theories on how it could happen. One untested argument hinges on wording in the 22nd Amendment, which bans being elected more than twice, but does not explicitly bar succession. Under this theory, Trump could run as vice president in 2028, win with a running mate such as J.D. Vance, and then take over if that president resigned. Others, like Tennessee Congressman Andy Ogles, are pushing for a constitutional amendment to allow up to 3 terms, so long as they're not consecutive. But constitutional amendments require supermajorities in Congress and approval by 3/4 of state legislatures, a near impossibility in today's political divide. Derek Muller, an election law professor at the University of Notre Dame, said,
The Constitution's 12th Amendment says no person constitutionally ineligible to the office of president shall be eligible to that of vice president of the United States. I don't think there's any one weird trick to getting around presidential term limits.
That means serving 2 terms in office disqualifies anyone from running as a vice presidential candidate, in his view. For now, Trump 2028 is more a political statement than a legal path. But the hats, selling for $50 apiece, highlight how Trump is already shaping the conversation about power, succession, and the limits of the presidency, even as he sits in the White House for his second and final term.